Justice Reentry Committee. Proposed substitute House Bill 1024 H1071.2 by Representative Simmons provides the following. First, it eliminates the provision in the underlying bill which requires an incarcerated person in the correctional industry's work program to be paid no less than the state minimum wage. Instead, the proposed sub provides that an incarcerated person specifically in class 2 or 3 industries must be paid no less than $1.50 an hour. The proposed sub also provides that the monthly maximum limit on amounts paid to persons in class 3 industries must be no less than $200 total. It specifies that class 3 and 4 programs are industries rather than correctional industries operated and reviewed by the DOC. It eliminates the provision in the underlying bill that authorizes the deduction of up to 10% for a person's debts owed to the DOC, and instead it restores the current law provision which allows the courts and the DOC to impose and collect the cost of incarceration. The proposed sub provides that subject to certain exceptions, incarcerated person's income is subject to the following modifications for their maximum allowed deductions. The proposed sub provides for the crime victims compensation account a maximum deduction of 5%, which is down from 10% in the underlying bill. For their personal savings account, a maximum deduction of 10% rather than 50% in the underlying bill. For the cost of incarceration, 5% rather than nothing. For payment of legal financial obligations, 20%, which is up from 10% in the underlying bill, and for payment of certain civil judgments, 20%, which again is up from 10% in the underlying bill. The sub restores the provision in current law that requires DOC to link early earned release and other privileges to incarcerated persons' behavior and their participation in work programs. And finally, the sub provides that the required report by DOC on debts incurred by incarcerated persons must also include specific information related to fees that are charged for sending money to incarcerated persons.
For the record, I'm Yvonne Walker, staff to this committee. As Corey mentioned, the original bill that required that incarcerated individuals were to be paid no less than the state minimum wage of $15.74 per hour for correctional industry jobs. We have requested a fiscal note on the proposed sub, but we have not received it yet. However, using assumptions from the original bill, since the proposed substitute bill now provides that incarcerated persons participating in class 2 and 3 work programs are to be paid no less than $1.50 an hour instead of the $15.74 an hour. The fiscal impact to the Department of Corrections is now estimated at around $7 million per fiscal year instead of the previous $195 million impact. And that concludes my remarks on that amendment. And the last amendment that's in EBB is the standard null and void clause.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Patton or Ms. Walker? Thank you both very much. Madam Counsel?
The next item on the agenda that has an amendment is item number 3, substitute House Bill 1087. There is a proposed second substitute by...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that proposed substitute House Bill 1024 be reported from committee with a due pass recommendation. It has
been moved and seconded that substitute House Bill 1024 be reported out of committee due pass. There are amendments. Representative Macri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move amendment Walker 362.
It's been moved and seconded that the amendment Walker 362 be adopted. This is a standard null and void, meaning that if the bill is not funded, the law does not go into effect. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, will all members wishing to adopt the amendment Walker 362 please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The amendment is adopted. Representative Macri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the adopted amendment be incorporated into the substitute and that substitute House Bill 1024 be reported from committee with a due pass recommendation.
It has been moved and seconded that substitute House Bill 1024 be reported from committee due pass. Comments? Representative Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a kind of a bittersweet day. You know, when I started this journey of introducing the Real Labor, Real Wages Act, I was hoping to accomplish a lot as somebody who worked under coercion for 42 cents an hour in prison and was threatened to either not be able to see my kids or go to solitary confinement, I feel really strongly about this legislation. However, I understand in the legislature, things work in an incremental way. So I'm glad that this policy will still end coercion and major infractions for people who are unable to work, and also that people who've been making 42 cents an hour for decades will get a little bit of a raise up to $1.50 an hour. And that, they can be able to afford phone calls home to their families and pay for their hygiene with that. And one good thing about this also is that currently there are individuals who work at the Department of Natural Resources for minimum wage doing firefighting, and they're not paying any money towards their victim restitution because of the deductions. So this brings parity with all classes, where all class level of employment in the Department of Corrections will be paying 20% towards their victim restitution and also making payments towards their child support. I will continue to work with the Department of Corrections and stakeholders over the interim to find a path forward to fair wages, also taking into account the costs that people should pay towards housing and medical, and also trying to accomplish the goals of supporting children through child support and making victims whole. So thank you for passing this incremental step, and I will continue to work on it.
Thank you, Representative Simmons. Additional discussion, Representative Couture.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to recommend a no on this bill today. A lot of times in this state right now, we seem to have a theme of focusing on those who have victimized society and how we can help those people instead of how we can help those who were actually victimized. And right now, I've got a few prisons in my district, and what's amazing is that our corrections workers are sleeping on cots in the break room, working the hours of double of what adults typically work in a week. And a lot of the security cameras are not functional in the cell blocks or in other parts of the prisons, and we are working those people to death. And I think although I appreciate all of the work done by my fellow member on the other side, that I think we need to strike a better balance. Part of justice is looking at not just how do we restore an individual and how do we get them productively back into society, but also there's a punishment aspect as well. We have to make people whole when they've been victimized by somebody, and that includes restitution and other things. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'd urge a no vote.
Thank you, Representative Couture. Are there any other comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ormsby.
Ormsby votes aye.
Ormsby votes aye. Rep. Bergquist.
Representative Bergquist votes aye.
Bergquist votes aye. Rep. Gregerson.
Aye.
Gregerson votes aye. Rep. Macri.
Macri, aye.
Macri votes aye. Rep. Stokesbury.
Stokesbury votes no, do not pass.
Stokesbury votes no, do not pass. Rep. Chambers.
Chambers, no, do not pass.
Chambers, no, do not pass. Rep. Corey.
Corey votes no, do not pass.
Corey, no, do not pass. Rep. Berg.
Berg votes aye.
Berg votes aye. Rep. Chandler.
Representative Chandler is excused.
Chandler excused. Rep. Chop.
Chop votes aye.
Chop votes aye. Rep. Connors.
Connors, no, do not pass.
Connors, no, do not pass. Rep. Couture.
Couture votes no, do not pass.
No, do not pass. Rep. Davis.
Davis, aye.
Davis, aye. Rep. Dye.
Dye votes no, do not pass.
Dye votes no, do not pass. Rep. Fitzgibbon. Fitzgibbon votes aye. Rep. Hansen.
Aye.
Hansen votes aye. Rep. Harris.
Harris, nay, do not pass.
Harris, nay, do not pass. Rep. Lekanoff.
Lekanoff votes aye.
Lekanoff votes aye. Rep. Paulette.
Paulette, aye.
Paulette votes aye. Rep. Riccelli.
Representative Riccelli is excused.
Rep. Rude.
Nay, do not pass.
Rude, no, do not pass. Rep. Sandlin. Sorry, Rep. Ryu.
Ryu votes aye.
Ryu votes aye. Rep. Sandlin.
Sandlin votes aye. No, do not pass.
Sandlin votes no, do not pass. Rep. Schmick.
No, do not pass.
No, do not pass. Rep. Sin.
Sin votes aye.
Sin votes aye. Rep. Simmons.
Simmons votes aye.
Simmons votes aye. Rep. Slatter.
Slatter, aye.
Slatter, aye. Rep. Springer. Springer votes aye. Rep. Steele.
Steele votes nay, do not pass.
Steele votes nay, do not pass. Rep. Stonier.
Stonier votes yes.
Stonier votes yes. Rep. Derringer.
Derringer, aye.
Derringer, aye.
Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, will you please announce the count?
Mr. Chair, there are 18 aye, 11 do not pass, and 2 excused.
By your vote, Substitute House Bill 1024 is reported out of Appropriations with a do pass recommendation. House Bill 1095, Representative Macri?